got to Vilnius, my first stop was at the market, guided by my long-lost cousin Lena. She showed me around the different stalls, bursting with pickles of all kinds. I can nosh on this stuff all day, I tells ya. Speaking of noshing, we kicked things off with a Beigelių bagel of the month with egg salad and carrots along with the classic lox and schmear. It was an unexpected taste of the Jewish food to come. But did I mention that it's freezing and I was up at 4 in the morning? Thank you to Pesh Coffee for restoring my soul. Or for just jacking up my heart rate enough so that I don't feel like an animated corpse. For my next bite, I tucked into a cepelina, a potato dumpling made from grated potatoes with curd cheese inside, served with a small lake's worth of dill-infused sour cream. Absolutely the hearty, comforting stomach blanket my body craves in this weather. Yum yum, eat 'em up. Now I never fancied myself a pilgrim, mostly because the ones we learned about in school were dressed funny and did some truly horrific things to Native Americans. But Vilnius first got on my radar because of one Fania Lewando, a chef and cookbook author who wrote The Vilna Vegetarian in the lead up to World War II. Fania and her husband were murdered in the Holocaust, but her Yiddish language work was rediscovered, translated, and given new life with 21st century Jewish vegetarians. I know this because I've referred to her work frequently in my writing. She connected vegetarianism to Jewish values long before the first tempeh brisket was smothered in marinade. I find her fascinating, so the least I could do was stop by the site of her old restaurant. Fania was a Litvak, that is, a Jewish person from Lithuania. It's easy to assume that there would be no traces of Litvak cuisine left in Vilnius in the aftermath of the Holocaust. But this building decked out in Judaica begs to differ. The local Jewish community runs this bagel shop. Here you can find shtetl classics like bialys with poppy seeds and onions, cheese blintzes, and a first for me, teiglach, knotted pastries coated in honey syrup with ginger and orange zest. You can also get some Litvak dishes at Lokys in the heart of the Old Town. Chef Rita Keršulytė-Ryčkova invited me down to the centuries-old Gothic cellar to talk about her menu.
We do cuisine that tells Lithuanian history by food, by ingredients, and so on. And Litvak cuisine is a part of that history. So it would be a shame not to touch that part because it's very interesting. Some of the places that we call them typically Lithuanian, and if you come to Lithuania, we make you eat them like 100%. They came from Litvak cuisine, and most people are not even aware that they have Jewish heritage in their homes every day, like eating the Lithuanian traditional cuisine.
Most of Lokys' menu is based on historical Lithuanian cuisine, culinary knowledge that was lost during Soviet occupation and rediscovered by chefs like Rita. But there is something missing.
The Litvak thing was, I had like an eye-opener that we missed a big part of Lithuanian history, because in Lithuania we do not talk a lot about our Jewish community that used to live here and so on. We know it, but it's not a subject we touch a lot like commonly, even if we talk about gastronomy or culture or like the heritage they left us and so on. We do not touch that much. And it was one client who came from United States, and his parents used to live in this quarter here in Vilnius. He came to us to see the historical menu, and he was sitting and he started crying, and I'm like, is everything okay? And he's like, I cannot believe that you're a historic restaurant and you do not have anything of our Jewish heritage. So I was very moved by that situation, and I said sorry. I said the next time you come, you'll have a dish from your history, because it's our fault that we do not dig that far, and it's I don't know, it's most probably because it's a sensitive subject. We feel like a bit of guilt of what happened and so on. So.
And right on cue, some boletas or mushroom-stuffed dumplings. Rita says non-Jewish Lithuanians eat these on Christmas Eve along with latkes while abstaining from meat. Speaking of latkes, how did potatoes become such a staple of Lithuanian cuisine?
So the potatoes came to Lithuanian food with Litvak heritage. The Jewish were not a very rich community, but they always had their own business. Like they had a taverna, they had like a shop and so on. So there were quite a lot of Lithuanian girls who used to work in like Jewish taverna or something like that, and they used to learn how to cook from the Jewish families. And they brought the recipes back home, and the potato was very nourishing, so you fill yourself up, and it was quite simple to prepare to make it tasty, and it was very cheap, and you could grow it yourself even in the small plot of ground. So it was a thing that helps you not to go hungry. So we took it in, and only we modified by putting pork everywhere. Yeah, we put like, or mine's pork, or like fat of pork for frying pancakes of potatoes, or for doing the cepelinas also.
Rita says the cepelinas with cottage cheese or veal stuffing are an example of Litvak cuisine taken in by non-Jewish Lithuanians. But if you were to ask around Vilnius today, they wouldn't know about the Litvak heritage associated with the dish. Now here's the Litvak star on the menu, if you ask me.
So it's basically curd balls with some bread inside, some parsley, cheese, and they are baked in the oven in tomato sauce and covered with some hard cheese, just to give a hint of umami, let's say like that. And this is a Litvak recipe. It used to be made or only with the bread, the flat bread they made, or they used to make it with cottage cheese and mazo.
Rita came up with the recipe using a mix of recipes from the aforementioned Vilna vegetarian from Fania Lewando. But something Ashkenazi Jews will certainly recognize is kugelis.
Like one more dish that is very popular and still in Lithuania and is done, I think, at least once a month in every house. It's kugelis. Yeah. And we do the version only from the potatoes. So if you talk like to Lithuanian also, and you say that the original would be like made from pasta, or you could make it like with rice or any other like thing that you imagine from some veggies and so on, they're quite surprised. And like the sweet version is becoming quite popular now, the pasta sweet version kugel.
I have talked to a few people and said, like, oh, yeah, no, potato kugel is a thing here, and that's from the Jewish community. And they would all be like, no, that's just Lithuanian.
It's not Lithuanian, yeah. But I told you, we're not not very aware. And basically, the gastronomy is not a thing we were very interested, like in the last years. Only it came up that we're talking about the food, and we're talking about the wine. Before we were just eating. So it was not an argument to talk about. Now it's like becoming an argument. So it's nice. It's becoming a bit of more of a culture, which is cool.
You mentioned the guy who came and was upset because there was no Litvak cuisine here. Have you since had any American Jews or Jewish travelers come here and be like, wow, you've got Litvak, like kind of like I am, like, yeah, you have Litvak cuisine, and reacted to it?
We have a lot of Jewish people coming from Israel that are originally from here. We had a very moving story like this year. There was guy quite old already, like I don't know how old he was, but like quite old, and he came down here downstairs, and he like was very moved because he remembers that he used to sleep somewhere here, and I was like, how is that possible? But like most probably during the war times or like after. So there's quite a lot of people coming, like, because they are originally from here and they escaped during the World War.